let's jump to this story from the Daily Mail and talk about victories against wokeness, the inadvertent results of what we're seeing now with Israel and Hamas. Billionaires who have pumped $500 million into Ivy League schools back out over failure to condemn the Hamas terror attacks on Israel. Harvard and UPenn face losing hundreds of millions in future endowments. Up to $487 million could be lost amid rising tensions between Israel and Palestine. Billionaires Ken Griffin has requested Harvard take a robust stance in defense of Israel. So let's just put it this way. We've long talked about defunding universities. It's happening. And it's happening because these activist groups came out in support of terrorists. Oh, there you go.
They had a line, apparently. There was a line that they created. They created these people. They created these monsters. This is Dr. Frankenstein. They created this. And now they're like, oh, I guess this isn't very popular now. Time to undo the damage and look like heroes.
Oh, that's crazy. Ken Griffin pledged $300 million to Harvard this year alone, but contacted the head of the university board to complain about the tepid response of President Claudine Gay. So he's apparently not hearing back, and it looks like they're going to start pulling their funding.
The Claudine Gay thing was really fascinating because she put out, so you had all of these student groups at Harvard, what was it, like 12 student groups, and they all submitted letters basically in support of Hamas and like against Israel, and they all put out these letters. And then you had these companies, these CEOs were like, who is in these student groups? We don't want to hire them. Mm-hmm. And then you had like alum and trustees, complaining and saying, we want to pull our funding out. You had Claudine Gay, the president of Harvard, saying, which I think she's right to say, is that she supports free speech. She supports the free speech of the students at the school, right? I'm always going to support the free speech, even though I totally disagree with it. She came out and said that, but this is at a university where people get deplatformed for not using the right pronouns or for saying that men aren't women. So it's a total hypocritical grift is exactly what it is. It's trash.
She supports free speech when it's
convenient for her.
Yeah.
She supports free speech because she doesn't have to say anything about these student groups, and she doesn't have to say anything about the crazy ideological warfare that's been waged against the students of the United States, making them believe that terrorism is good and America is bad, right?
Yeah.
She doesn't have to do anything legitimate. She just has to So I support the defunding of these universities. I have long thought that the problem with the student loan crisis, the schools should pay it off with their huge endowments.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with that. And it's sad for me, just as a constitutional person, to think about how far Harvard has fallen. John Adams went there. John Quincy Adams went there. Now just.
But it hasn't been that Harvard in a long time.
The Springfield Armory used to be in Massachusetts.
And it isn't now.
Yeah, they moved.
John Adams also, he defended the British soldiers during the Boston Massacre,
Yeah,
which
and
I have immense respect for.
Yes. So John Adams,
even though he totally disagreed with them.
Yeah, he believed so powerfully that they would get a free trial if they were defended well, because that's what people were like. Okay, so he believed so powerfully in this that he's like, I will defend them myself. And his defense there were 8 of them. His defense got 6 of them off, and 2 of them, instead of death, were marked with an M, and that M just meant manslaughter. Wow. So that was his doing that did that, and now it's like we are. Oh my God, I loved him, but we were like,
I love that you have a John Adams thing. I have a John Adams thing.
I do. Have you ever seen Adams?
No.
Watch it. It's the best series ever.
But I saw 1776 on Broadway.
So if you think about how far away we are, So if you think about how far away we are from John Adams representing the Redcoats and getting 6 of them off and 2 of them from death to a manslaughter brand on their hand. Now look at the J6ers.
Yeah, and the fact that the same Judge Shutkin, who has been prosecuting January 6th defendants, sometimes imposing sentences greater than the Department of Justice even asked for, is now the judge presiding over Trump's case, I think is absolutely insane. She has so much bias against him. She's being allowed to do this. She put a gag order on him today because they don't like his social media posts.
Because they don't want him to make fun of them.
Right. But also they don't want him to be able to speak in his own defense.
Yep.
And they know that the more he does speak in his own defense and the more they prosecute him, the more popular he becomes in the United States.
Where's
I have
Harvard
a conspiracy
President
about
Gay
this.
to talk about free speech now?
Well,
I have a conspiracy about this. I feel like they are doing this totally illegally, totally in front of our faces, totally unconstitutionally. And it's going to go to SCOTUS, who's going to be like, this was really unconstitutional what you did. We are overturning this. Get him off of house arrest because he's never going to go to prison unless they build a new wing or whatever. But he's going to go to Mar-a-Lago, have an ankle bracelet or whatever. But they're going to say, okay, this is unconstitutional. And then Congress is going to rise up, or all the deep state, and they're going to be like, this is why we need to pack the court, because this court is biased for Trump. And that's the only way to correct this ill. These are Trump judges that lit him off, and it is undemocratic, and that's what's going to happen.
Which means we can't lose the House.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
And it's the only control that there is, and we don't have a speaker.
Yeah. This segment's supposed to be a white pill, and you guys are.
I'm sorry,
do you
Tim.
guys like Jordan? Who do you like for speaker?
I mean, Matt Gaetz.
You like Gaetz for speaker? I don't think he's
right. Of course.
Been nominated.
I mean, no, I don't think he wants to do it, and there's reasons why it's not necessarily appropriate. I mean, he led the charge against McCarthy, but come on, how many people are actually doing anything? Jim Jordan's great, but I mean, you're still gonna get. He's not perfect. Now, nobody is. He's better than McCarthy.
He's a big talker. He talks a big talk, but he doesn't always walk the walk. So
well, he has a lot of investigations that he's working on.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, I think he could do a good job.
I think we have to get someone. I think this has been fun in games, but it's time to get a speaker in place. And if it's Jim Jordan, then
what about
a
speaker? Can be anybody. Like, who would you nominate for speaker, Tim?
Trump.
Yeah. Okay. Who would you nominate, Libby?
If I was nominating for someone for speaker, I would have to look into it a little more. I would not nominate Trump for speaker because I would like him to be president, and I don't think that what
he can be.
So he's gonna fight 5 cases against him, 4 of which are criminal.
Once he's speaker, those cases probably evaporate.
Yeah, those cases go away. I would nominate Ron Paul.
I wouldn't. I don't see him as
I mean, Ron Paul's interesting. We'd love to see him do stuff. I do think that he's old enough now where maybe it wouldn't be effective. Look, I believe he will just live forever and preside over our country in our hearts and in our minds. But this is sort of the argument against people being too old and being forced to work forever. I think that's not actually good for American culture.
Like Dianne Feinstein was working literally until she died.
And is this like
Ruth
what
Bader
we
Ginsburg?
want?
Yeah, Ruth Bader Ginsburg too.
I think that's gross.
I really hope that when I'm that age, when I'm like substantially younger than the age Dianne Feinstein was when she died, I just get to like hang out with grandbabies.
Yeah,
this is what I pray for.
I think this is what bothers me about American politicians is, Feinstein didn't get into the Senate until she was 60 anyways, right? So then she was in for essentially 4 decades and died while serving. I don't think that sets a good precedent for the culture that they are writing into the law, right? Definitely. We need a culture that supports a work-life balance and promotes people to spend time with their families. I don't like Mitt Romney, but I do understand why he was like, I'm going to be in my mid-80s if I run again. Maybe someone else should do this job. And so with Speaker of the House, I would love to see someone young enough. Ron Paul would be great. A disciple of Ron Paul, perhaps. I just can't name one off the top of my head. I think it's one of those things
Dave
I have
Smith.
to carefully research.
Dave Smith can be Speaker of the House.
But he doesn't.
That would be great. He'd be roasting these people,
awesome
banging the
would that
gavel
be?
and being like, it would be awesome.
Yeah, it could be good.
I kind of like Jordan.
I just think we have to do someone at this point.
Like if we're going like pie in the sky, make your wishes come true. It's not
Joe
Jim Jordan.
Rogan.
Joe Rogan. But I mean, you want somebody who knows. You want
someone
the House
politics,
Speaker.
yeah.
The House Speaker has to be an operator, whether we like it or not. Like that's part of the job.
Have you ever seen the meme explaining like what the Joe Rogan podcast is? And it's like a breakdown of it's like basically a script written out, and Joe's like. So he mentioned something about peanuts growing in trees, and then someone says peanuts don't grow in trees, actually grow underground. And he goes, wait, what? What do you mean? And then it's like, Jamie, pull that up. And then he's like, whoa, peanuts grow underground? He's like, yes, peanuts grow. He's like, wow.
It would be.
And then he says something like, he's like, the meme is, he goes, yeah, they couldn't grow on trees because squirrels would F them up. Could you imagine that? Squirrels would be effing up peanut trees. Squirrels are basically like little chimps.
It would make C-SPAN so interesting if Joe Rogan was Speaker
it'd be
of the House.
most interesting. Nobody would turn it off.
Yeah.
There's a reason why he's got the biggest podcast in the
C-SPAN,
world.
you should be lobbying for Joe Rogan to be Speaker of the House if you want your ratings to go up.
Right, and then get some new ad deals for
my gosh,
Congress.
it's so
Suddenly
funny.
it's legitimately
Depends
idiocracy.
on do we want entertaining time or do we want a productive time? And maybe Joe Rogan would be productive.
I say
telling
Trump.
you, there'd be nothing like it.
I really want the borders closed. I want
Right.
us to do
This is why
That's what I want.
Trump would be really entertaining too. On top of it all,
But would anybody?
This is why Trump, because Trump, no one's going to be able to go against him. Trump's going to come out and be like, we need to impeach Biden. Who wants to run against Donald Trump? You're going to go up for re-election in a year, and you're going to be the one guy who said, I told Trump no.
But the Senate wouldn't take up any of the legislation that they passed, and it would never get past the president's desk.
There's still subpoena power. He's going to be like,
But
we
we
want to
have that now.
investigate. And yes, and Jim Jordan, is he going to do it? Maybe.
Well, House
McCarthy didn't
Oversight
do
had
it.
a thing today.
Donald Trump will say, I want subpoenas on these people. And then the moderate Republicans, they call them, will have to go back to the districts and say, we told Trump no. Knowing Trump's approval rating and his polling levels, they're all going to be like, I can't take that risk. Yeah. Unless they want to join the Democratic Party.
True.
Which many of them might, well, not many, I'd say maybe a handful would be like, fine, I guess I'm a Democrat now.
I really don't think so.
Yeah.
It's all going the other direction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think they don't even change their party. They just become, because what they did, they made it like, these are the way that they break up MAGA Republican versus every other Republican. It's to be like, no, you can be a Republican. You can be Adam Kinzinger and you can be Liz Cheney, but you cannot be Matt Gaetz. Like, this is the difference.
That's the line.
They
That's
write
too far.
Yes, they write, articles. I think the New York Times, you could probably pull it up, wrote an article about the difference between Republicans and MAGA Republicans, just like a tutorial so you knew what was good Republican and what was bad Republican. But this is a divide and conquer technique. This is...
Well, yeah, because they want to maintain the uniparty.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
what it's really all about.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.